Excuse me. Hold on for a second. Welcome back to Straight Talk, and it's going to be one tonight, like always. Hold on. Sorry about that. A little bit wrangling going on and straightening. I just needed to do that right quick, but I apologize. But welcome back to Straight Talk, and tonight it's going to be one, but I just really wanted to focus down on what is really going on with Tariq Nasheed and one of his very important historical men and people that was in his video. They are now saying that his title that he uses for African Americans, Foundation of Black Americans, is a CIA plot, FBI informant kind of thing going on. So we're going to listen to a couple of these, and also the Hodge twins had David Duke on their show. Now, I'm not in support of the raccoons, the Hodge twins. I'm not in support now of Tariq Nasheed because of what he did, and I think it was in Washington here. We were going around trying to get the attention of some people, congressmen, congress people on Capitol Hill back in the day when he was a so-called pimp. Now that really turned me the fuck off on him. How can you? I mean, you know, people can change, but that does not negate what he does. Hey, brother Willie, what's going on, man? I appreciate you like always, man. You're always here. I appreciate that. But man, look, Tariq Nasheed is in some hot water with what's his name? Hold on. With Professor James Small. And we're going to cover that. We're going to listen to what is going on before we get into the real deal Holyfield, which is tonight. We're going to cover, hold on. We're going to cover historical Black Americans thought to be white, invasion of the body snatchers, whitewashed history. That's a motherfucker. Now, I've been knowing this a long time. Really. You know, it's time for us to stop turning around and giving our kids to these motherfuckers. They're not going to do right by us and by our kids. They will do anything and everything to sustain white supremacy and white superiority in their mind. Because like I always say, you know, white supremacy and white superiority is an overreaction to black oppression. Now, I made some clarification about that on the last show, Tuesday night, and making it known that what they are doing now, white folks, as we call them today, they did that back in Egypt. They did that back in Greece and Rome. We had to kill them and get them out. So this is why I say we're on a 4-tier, a 4-point how do you say that? A 4-point I'm drawing a blank here, but a 4-point goal, if I wanted to say that. It's not the word I'm looking for. But those 4 points are politics, economic, spiritual, and physical domination. And right now we are on the cusp of that. And the last time I was here, we were talking about a brother from Haiti who's on the verge, like Troy right now, and it's going to happen. It's happening on February 26, 2026. All of Africa and the Caribbean and the global South is united. And General Sam, which I did not know about him, just now finding out about him, white folks got scared and started lying and conniving and scheming and ended up interrupting all of what he was trying to do. He was very, very, very close to toppling the hegemony of the United Little America back then. And white folk worldwide, to be that honest, honest with you. And white people are the minority in the world. There are I'm going to say it. There are 8 billion people in the world. There are 7.9 billion people of color. How the fuck do you get to be the head honcho? Because of the mental conditioning. The mental conditioning. But once you wake up to the reality that these people are playing the Wizard of Oz game, you're going to pull back the curtain and you're going to see a little bitch of a man, a little bitch of a boy acting like a man, a little bitch of a girl acting like a woman. They've been playing the goddamn game for I don't know how long. I would say 150 years. Getting you to forget all about your ancestors, but like Elijah, and the Bible says those bones are coming together. No lie can live forever, and evil will always destroy itself in the end, and those who partake in it. It never fails. I don't even have to think about it. You don't have to think about it. We don't have to think about it. Just concentrate on what we're doing, and that's it. But in looking back at Gaddafi when he was killed, and now his son is in control of Libya and joined the AES. Now you know Obama is shitting in his drawer. Because vengeance is a motherfucker. You killed my father, bitch. Alright, Hillary. Alright, Obama. Oh, boy, I tell you, some people just don't get it and some people just don't see it. But Obama's in a whole lot of other shit too, man. You know, he's about to be brought up on some serious treasonous charges. Not to go into that. But tonight, like I was saying, we're going to cover the Hodge twins, the raccoons of the raccoon, and his or their talk with David Duke, which I don't understand, and giving him the password, the in password card. You see, it's been simple, Brother Willie, and everyone who's going to be seeing this show tonight, or sometime in the future, that if you don't know your history, you're going to be dancing and bootlicking and doing all those crazy shit. That's not worth it. This sister that I got here too, who did a video on she calls it Chasing Whiteness. Her name is Jules Lowell. Let me subscribe to her channel. She did a really good job of explaining it, and it's just mind blowing that in 2025, going into 26, we don't have no concept of our history and how important it is and how important we are. Without us, the world could not be and would not be. White folks know this shit. That boxer, Jake Paul, right? Or Paul Jake, something like that. I played it where he talking about our history, and a lot of our own people don't even know what he just said or what he has said. And I covered that in the previous video. But let me go on. But first, we're going to cover. Hold on, let me bring that up to the share screen. Okay. So we're going to cover what I've been saying all along, that white folks, corporations, you name it, they are literally killing us. Not just black folks, but people in the population worldwide. Now, you know they only killed over 100 and now, which I'm guesstimating to be no less than 170 million people who have died from the vaccine, and not even counting those who can't go to the bathroom normally. They're pissing and shitting on each other, on themselves, and can't sleep. They have nervous twitches, 24/7, 365 days a year. Horrifying. Mr. White Boy did this. And somehow, some way, we are just asleep. I'll be right back.
So, what are y'all eating on these so-called holidays? Because what I'm seeing people post on TikTok is not food. I'm convinced that these corporations have canceled the holidays along with us, because what is this, y'all? Why does this so-called chicken looks like the bottom of somebody's foot? You have families open up cans of cranberries thinking they're going to get cranberries, but instead they're getting water. You got sweet potatoes holding onto water like they are a sponge. What is this? They're not even calling ice cream anymore. They're calling it frozen dairy dessert. What time are they calling it? I was just trying to trim some of the fat of chicken. I started realizing, don't this look like a human foot and not chicken? Let me watch me open this one. Right? You had it, you silly. Oh my God! That's all this can of water. That's part y'all, like I know I'm not tripping, but don't eat the like floors. Like pay attention to the spot. Like what the fuck is that? What the fuck is that? What the fuck is that? Like it's like some kind of store. Like, ugh. Like, bitch, you know how much steak costs, bitch? This is fucking ridiculous. I thought they were capping when I seen it. But look. Look at that. I got these on. Do they supposed to do that?
Never in my 12 plus years of cooking for my family have I seen a chicken breast spasm.
So I thought this is when I was gonna cook today. And started to clean it, thinking that this is just some outside skin. The chicken see I'm trying to push my big cannot. But then I see this here. I think it's so long. I remember smelling that's but it's so it's exactly like fancy. Here is one that I on the hill. Not sure what this is. Down inside of there, you can see it. This is honeysuckle.
And to ice cream, then it's no longer ice cream. My husband and I were just trying to.
And that's not ice cream, you guys.
Right? This ice cream that was going to get one tastes so terrible. And as we were looking at the packaging, we realized that nowhere on here does this say ice cream. Now, I was trying to be moderately healthy. I mean, obviously moderately healthy, of course. When I chose the ingredients here, because it starts with like milk, sugar, and cream, and okay, then it gets a little dicey. But it's like there for a while. It's perfect. But nowhere on here, in fact, it says frozen dairy dessert, but nowhere on Breyers.
Now take a look at that. What changed with Breyers? Around the 2010s, Breyers changed many of its recipes to use less cream, add more air called overrun, include more gums and stabilizer to keep texture smooth, even with less fat. This made the product cheaper to produce, but it also meant it no longer met the FDA requirements to be legally called ice cream. So instead, they had to switch the label to frozen dairy dessert. Pretty clever, but they're killing your ass.
Breyers. I mean, this was like the ice cream of my childhood, and the premium. As soon as you get out of here, Breyers ice cream. It's not even ice cream anymore.
So that's it. So we're going to be going on to the Hodge twins. What the hell is? Oh, okay. So we're going to be going on to the Hodge twins, but be careful, family. Be careful because this shit ain't no motherfucking joke. A lot of people are still sleeping. They just don't, maybe want to wake up, maybe want to realize the reality of life. But this is the final battle. In actuality, this has been a war between white people and black people that has been going on for the last 150 years. Thankfully and honestly, black people have won. Crossed the finish line a long time ago. And now, hold on. And now we're looking at the effects of what Gaddafi wanted it to be. An African black currency that is international in scope, that will suffocate the shit and kill white supremacy to the very heart and core. It's over and done with already. The AfriGold, the AfriNet, the rising of Africa as a continent, as a global power, more powerful than all motherfucking put together. They just discovered $21 trillion in gold. We ain't rich, we ain't poor, we're rich. The global south is beating the shit out of white folks. The West, or whites. That's some real shit. You feel me? So it's just a matter of time before it all comes to fruition, and that the world changes, and the new world order is black. Plain and simple. So what we're gonna go on to from being careful with your food to these sellouts that we have amongst us, and it's very important to recognize that and to realize that and to know that. I'll be right back.
Absolutely pathetic. Oh my goodness. So many of you guys tagged me on Twitter telling me to look at this video. Now, unbeknownst to me, I unfortunately click on this video and see two tap dancing raccoons. And the tap dancing was so loud, I had to turn down the volume, bruh. I had to turn it down because it was about to blow out my eardrums. You have the Hodge twins, okay? People who are into fitness and then decided to make a career being Sambos, okay? Being tap dancers for the white Republican Party. That's, in a nutshell, who they are. Dang. And these individuals go out of their way to interview David Duke. Now, I want people to understand, when it comes to Democrat versus Republican and all that, this is the final destination for a black conservative. I'm gonna repeat that again. This is the final destination for a black conservative. There is no being on the cabinet, right? Like Brian Donalds, Tim Scott, and the rest of the goofies. There is no you being a VP like they promised Tim Scott. Tim Scott and his fairy self had to go out and rent a girlfriend. Okay, he had to go out, get an Uber Eats his girlfriend, talking about, hey, this is my girl, you know, we've been together. You couldn't describe the female genitalia if I paid you $1 million. Get the hell out of here, Tim Scott. Oh. Then you had Brian Donalds, who was talking about, oh, yeah, I've been tapped for a VP. You know, I'm not going to tell you about them conversations. All at the end of the day.
At Striking,
Hold on.
you can make a website in minutes. Building your website has never been easier with our beautiful...
To have egg on their face. All to look like complete fools at the end of the day. This is the final destination. You have to understand. This is where it all comes to be, bruh. You go through all this. Look at Candace Owens. Candace Owens, as I refer to her. What do I say? The final destination. This is the final destination. What I believe, what Neely Fuller says, hey, white supremacy breaks her tools, always breaks her tools. This is the final destination. And I'm listening to these guys, because I didn't watch the show. Best believe I didn't watch it. I'm not giving them a view. You can kick rocks, okay? Pound sand, as far as I'm concerned. But I want people to think about this, that if we didn't have this bickering about, oh, they Akata or they tethers, and this is FBA and this Ada, if we were all on code, these individuals, raccoon number 1 and raccoon number 2, they would cease to exist, just so we're clear. They wouldn't be having a platform like this, spreading anti-black hatred, making us look like fools to everyone else in this country. This would no longer cease to exist, because there would be no one who would be willing to platform such nonsense if we were on code. I just want to put that out there. In the meantime, between time, y'all can go ahead, continue on arguing whether or not Kamala Harris is black or not. Continue on. I say that to say this, because what they are doing is trying to humanize white supremacy. They asked him, well, I wanted to hear from the horse's mouth, right? I wanted to hear who you are from yourself. Like, who do you think you are, Mr. David Duke?
So you've been banned on all these platforms, so everybody else gets to tell us, like, who you are. So the whole point of having you come on the show, I want to know who you were from you, directly from your mouth.
Nigga, please. And I want you to understand, now I really get why, when it came to the left, because I used to think when people were talking about, oh, that's irresponsible platforming, like, what are you talking about? You're just a goofy. Get the heck out of here, man. But now I actually understand. My eyes have been opened. Now I understand what they mean by irresponsible platforming. Because if you have someone who is gullible, who is naive, who is lost, like many people are, and they hear someone and they are humanizing the Klan, talking about, hey, this was never about harming black people. This was about protecting white people. This was actually about protecting the country. Okay, that's what this was about. You have to understand, we never meant for any of that to happen. If they go so far as to humanize this monster, this absolutely diabolical person, and what he is trying to, the message that he is trying to propagate to the masses, then we will have a problem. Then it won't be an idiot, right? We won't have not idiocracy. We will have freaking Nazi idiocracy, okay? I don't know if you happen to know, but Nazi idiocracy is way worse than regular idiocracy, just so we're clear. Damn. That's why it's so important that if you were to have an interview, God forbid, but if you were to have this conversation, that you would have to be on his butt, bruh.
Pause.
You would have to, as far as refute and rebut everything and anything he said with facts and evidence. Because rest assured, he is going to frame it in a light that makes it seem that it's just a noble cause. The words that are coming out of his mouth are no different from the words that are coming out of the white Republican Party. And that is, hey, we are being attacked. We are being vilified. White men are under attack. White people are under attack.
Duke, who campaigns against affirmative action and welfare mothers, claims that Johnston was once a segregationist.
He still seems to be for racial discrimination. Only now it's against whites instead of blacks.
This is the same propaganda that they are using, that they use this election to get Trump into office. This is the same propaganda that they are spewing to the masses that is going to harm and ultimately destroy this country. Because if you have a group of people who have never had the same history as far as Black Americans, but then want to try and bandwagon onto the oppression, onto the subjugation that happened to us and our ancestors, that is currently happening, if they now want to try and say, well, it's happened to us as well, we are in for a world of hurt, bruh. We saw a little ounce of that on January 6th. Bruh, if they go full retard, bro, this country is cooked.
Everybody knows you never go full retard.
And I want to put this out there because they mentioned something that I think is very humorous in my opinion, and that is the concept of the Great Replacement. Because the whole concept of the Great Replacement, white people are being, replaced, white people are being displaced in our own country. Where this is, and it's like, well, you're a minority on the planet, fam. Just so we can take that into account. The fact that you're a majority in certain positions of power in a lot of areas within the country. That's the anomaly, bro. That's what David Duke is talking about. And you have one of the raccoons who talks about, black people used to be second, okay? Black people used to be second. Now we no longer second.
Great replacement theory. It's not a great replacement theory. It's great replacement fact. It's happened.
Yeah, right. Even blacks have been replaced. We used to be number 2 in this country.
And that right there, that is a sentiment that I've seen perpetrated on these Twitter spaces amongst these LLC Negroes, where they constantly talking about, oh, Trump's going to deport them, okay, family? And what you fail to understand, what many of these Negroes who are listening to simpletons, to hustlers and grifters, is that they think they're going to get that number 2 spot. That's what you fail to understand. You are so conditioned, you are so indoctrinated that you want to get that number 2 spot. You want to be able to go into the house and say, hi, master, how are we feeling today? That's what they want. And so when they see, as far as illegal immigration, now they feel like, well, no one's paying attention to me now. Know what's going on. And David Duke says that's a great point. He wasn't even thinking about black people. He is for white people.
That's exactly right. Even blacks have been replaced. That's a really good point.
And because of how he talks, there are a lot of white people, a lot of white men out there who are lost, who are going to find refuge in his hatred, who's going to find refuge in his rhetoric. And that is a bad option for everybody. But I want people to also take into account, when will you ever see this juxtaposition for any other race of people? You tell me. When at any point in time in history, I'll give you all of history, will you see this juxtaposition for any other race of people? When will you see an entire industry built up on a singular race of people, vilifying, subjugating, and just ridiculing their own race? When will you see it? I have yet to see it. I don't see any Hispanics. I don't see any business around Hispanics doing this. I don't see any business around white people doing this. I don't see any business around Asian people doing this. The only group of people that there happens to be a monetary incentive, an industry around, is black people.
He's out of line, but he's right.
You tell me why, though.
We all know that cinnamon adds amazing flavor. But did you know it also helps with circulation?
You have Tweedledee and Tweedledum, Raccoon 1, Raccoon 2, where they are able to sustain themselves, okay, in this country by doing it. Now, if this country wasn't in fact a racist country, would they be able to do that? You tell me. If this country wasn't in fact a racist, and what we mean by racist as far as anti-black racism, that's only racism that has been promoted in this country, if this in fact was not a racist country, would these two people, these two dingleheads, be able to sustain their livelihood by doing this, by acting a fool and denigrating black people? Would they be able to do this? I would argue they wouldn't. And I would also argue that there's been no other race that's been targeted to behave in such a manner. There's no other race that has gotten monetary incentives, right, that have been put in positions of poverty, but then monetize them to act a fool, to tap dance and do a jig and say, hey, I want to give you an inward pass. That's what these fools do. They give David Duke an inward pass because I guess that's funny to everybody.
Gift for you probably don't need it. It's the N-word pass.
Inward pass.
You want to put your hood up?
Who is this funny to? I can tell you who it's funny to. All right, I can tell you who it's funny to. The PWTs, the Republican Party, the racists. That's who it's funny to. They think, oh, it's just a joke. It's just a joke. But when that joke flips on them, then it becomes, well, it's anti-white racism. So I want you just to be, you're just privy of this hustle that is going on currently right now in this country and what they want you to feel. They want you to feel upset by this. They want you to be, enraged by this. Don't be enraged. Just acknowledge the goofiness and move on. Take note of everyone else who finds it funny. That's what you should be doing. Take note of everyone else who finds it funny, but also take note of those who don't. Those who are repulsed by this. Those who are disgusted by this display. I think I would rather, honestly, die 1,000 deaths than be in this position. I don't care if they're making millions, billions, trillions. I don't care. I would rather die 1,000 deaths. So when people tell me, Lucas, why'd you leave the Republican? What happened to you? Why'd you change? That's why I changed. That's the reason why I was like, I don't like that final destination, because that is the final destination. To live your entire life at the behest of people who don't even think you exist, right? Who feel that you are inferior in every way, but for you to make a livelihood, to collect a check off of belittling and demeaning your own people while being at servitude to a group of people who view you as less than, to a group of people who view you as nothing more than political tools for their empowerment. As David Duke would say, hey, he's created the National Association for the Advancement of White People. What do they always do? The actual victims of this country are these racists. Those are the actual victims. We talk about, hey, white supremacy, where they say black supremacy. We say Black Lives Matter, where they say, well, all lives matter. They constantly want to be victims in this country, and they will go by any means to do such. Whether it means finding a bunch of Sambos to promote their message and humanize and sanitize it for the masses. That's where we are in this country. Anyways, guys, that's the video. Let me know what you guys think. Actually, I don't care what you guys think. If you think this is funny, you think this is hee-haw and it's just a joke, and Lucas, why are you so sensitive, blah, 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 blah. You go ahead and do that, bro. Go ahead and do that, by all means. I ain't got time to address you goofies, okay? You walking, talking raccoons, okay? You're nothing more than a show, okay? That's what you are. Nevertheless, if you happen to disagree, you know where to find me Friday through Sunday. You can call in and we duke it out. Otherwise, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please feel free to like, share. Let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment and subscribe. And that fun stuff. Till next time, guys. Be amazing.
Yeah, I hold on. The Nord. You can always count on Saturday night here in the Dominican Republic that they're going to be blowing up music. But yeah, he's right. At some point, you got to make it up in your mind. You either want crumbs off the table or you want the whole motherfucking table and the house and the state and the country. Because white folk are just dumb. They're not qualified to do anything. To be senators, to be congressmen, to be mayors, to be of any position of authority because they don't know what to do and how to do it well. It is about high time we stop looking to them and start looking toward or backward to our ancestors and looking forward and projecting all of that greatness into the future of our people, and especially our kids. Don't hand over our kids to these motherfuckers because they're not going to educate them. They're going to miseducate. Yeah, miseducate. They're not qualified to do a motherfucking thing other than the bullshit. As a matter of fact, every white person is a Ku Klux Klan member, whether directly or indirectly. Lawyer, doctor, mechanic, you name it, in every strata of our economy and world. They don't like you niggas. Plain if I can't make it no plain than that. You are a nigga. I can't make it no plain than that. They don't give a fuck about us. Me, you, us. They don't. Never have. There are no good white people. None. They're just there as a buffer. They make it look like, well, there are some good white people, but they have to fight. They're not fighting for nothing. They're not trying to stop the bad white people. Every white person, like Muhammad Ali said, ain't worth a damn. Trying to decide which snake outside your door is the bad snake, you have to close the fucking door and don't let no snakes in. Period. It's bad enough that we have to deal with our own snakes amongst us. And that leads us to the next video. And this is Sister Jewel Lowell. And I'll be right back.
Danish deception. One thing I want us to take away from this, and you can share this video with your daughters, nieces, whatever, if they go to predominantly white schools. So when you go to a predominantly white school, when you are the token black person, when you are the only person who is black and everybody else is white, you have two choices. You can either do the work and fight to continue to be yourself and advocate for yourself and stand up for yourself and keep your individuality, or you can find that exhausting and not want to do that at all and think that there is some kind of social currency in being in proximity to whiteness, and you will start to assimilate to that whiteness, whatever that looks like. And then when you go in these social circles and you see that all the white guys are going for the white girls and they're overlooking you and acting like you're invisible, bear in mind you're not ugly, you're just black. Black is beautiful, so don't internalize that, although, I can't tell you what to do. You're going to process this however you choose. So you will begin to turn it into an obsession to get a white man to pay some type of attention to you. And what winds up happening, which is what I think happened in this Danish deception situation, is when this white man finally chose her, holy shit, they chose me. Me? I hit the jackpot. And that begins to become your obsession, your prized possession, the fact that you got a white person to choose you, to pay you some attention. And everybody's sitting here trying to figure out how was she able to overlook all these red flags. I know she saw the red flags because there were several moments when she would say, he would do this off-the-wall weird thing, and, I never caught him in a lie, so I just went with it. Those were the moments where she knew what was happening, where she knew what was wrong, but she valued having his attention and being in that relationship over anything, because in her mind, what I'm thinking, in her mind, she would never get that type of opportunity to have attention from a white man ever again. So she would have to hold on to that for dear life. White men are definitely not the prize, especially a broke white man. I mean, this whole world was built for you to be able to succeed, and you're still failing? What a joke! Men are men. I say this all the time. I want women to broaden their horizons and be open to all kinds of men, but that doesn't mean that those men are better than black men. I've never said that. I even cussed somebody out once for thinking something like that. I've dated damn near every ethnicity because I'm a hoe, and they're no better. However, if marriage and relationships is what you want, broaden your horizons to give yourself some more options. That was my only point. But a lot of these women, when you assimilate, when that becomes your obsession, when being chosen by a white man becomes your whole thing, you will forgive things that you should not be forgiving so that you can continue to have their attention. You will do some stupid shit to prove yourself to these white people who would never who don't value you. You're just the person in the friend group that they can say racist shit and then say, well, I'm not racist because I have a black friend. You're just someone who makes them feel like a white savior, who makes them feel good about themselves because they know a black person. They're still going to say and do racist shit. Just like, I don't know if y'all saw the clip in the series where she was talking to one of her white friends and she was asking him how he was able to fall for the guy's deception or whatever, and he was like, first of all, he mispronounced her name and said, oh, well, you're Nigerian. I just thought you were in on it. Y'all are scammers. And she just said it like, oh, what you have for lunch? Like it was no big deal. And low racial self-esteem is real. You have to validate yourself. You will have to do the tireless work of standing up for yourself and advocating for yourself and learning about who you are and taking pride in that, because if you don't, you will be swept up in the waves of this tsunami of whiteness that was never made for you. It's not made for us. You will never be accepted amongst them. I don't care how much you try to talk like how you think a white person talks. I don't care how you do your hair. I don't care the music you listen to because you think they might like it, the places you go, whatever. They will never see you as one of them. It will never happen. And you will turn into a joke trying to chase their validation. And I know it might be lonely if you're in a place where there's predominantly white people and it's just you, but you should choose that over trying to chase validation. It's like chasing a mirage. You're going to look crazy, and it's something that doesn't exist. And that's all I know right now.
Man, she killed me when she said, I'm a hoe. Well, damn, whatever. Listen to the message. Don't pay attention to the messenger. Listen to the message. But, you know, it is what it is. I kind of blew my head off when I blew my hair back when I don't have much hair. But that blew me away when I heard that. Like, damn. But anyway, so now we're going into the last two parts before we get to the main event, which is historic Black Americans thought to be white, invasion of the body snatchers, whitewashed history. So we're going to cover what is really shocking to me. Tariq Nasheed is being accused of being an CIA organization that he had, the Foundation of Black America. Now, I like Tariq Nasheed. Like I was saying a long time ago, he went to Capitol Hill trying to pimp the hallways there. It's utterly ridiculous. And you can find that video. Hold on. That's me trying to tell you. Hold on. Utterly ridiculous. I mean, then you're going to turn around and be a scholar. Tariq Nasheed on Capitol Hill like pimp. Let's see what happens. Yeah, let's see if it shows up. Yeah, here it is. Let's just play it, not that long.
Between a prostitute and a politician. A prostitute gives clients sexual favors. A politician, like Congressman Bill Thomas, gives corporations political favors. A prostitute takes money from guys who can't get any, whereas a politician like Tom DeLay takes money from guys who can't get enough. Prostitutes go to jail for turning tricks, while politicians stay out of jail by using their bag of tricks. A prostitute makes $30,000 a year the hard way, whereas a politician like Senator Frank Murkowski makes money the easy way. $120,000 a year from us, and a couple $100,000 more from hard-up oil executives. Actually, the only difference between a prostitute and a politician is that a prostitute has a pimp keeping an eye on her, and a politician doesn't. Until now.
Anybody can say there's a pimp. I go to a club, and a lot of young guys, I'm a pimp, I'm a pimp, I'm a pimp. But you can tell them the attitude. I even wrote a book on the game, man. I got a book. I'm one of the 5 pimps in history to actually have a book about the game. That's why I'm so well known around the country, besides my impeccable pimping skills.
So do you think the way I'm looking at this is off, or do you think it's on? I mean, it's because I look at Congress, I see them selling themselves out. We've tried so many things to get some order. Yeah, well,
I'm not going to play this, but if you want to check it out, I mean, you can. I'm going to put it into the comment, but the guy's a fucking joke, you know. I really don't know too much about him. He blocked me on X, so, you know, about pointing that out, and like, how do you do that shit? Because you're playing the same role that you're saying that you're not for. Now, white folks love to see nigger shit, bullshit, and to me, as far as anything else, you know, a person can change, a person can grow, but you know, maybe he has. But to me, man, that killed all of that. So, but now we're gonna find out exactly what happened. It's a 15-minute video between Professor Smalls and Tariq Nasheed. I'll be right back.
Dr. Paul Anderson, Dr. John Henry Clark, or Dr. Ben. All of these men represent a certain status of eldership in the pro-black world. And another man holds this title also, Professor James Smalls. Now, Professor James Smalls is an African-American scholar, Pan-Africanist historian. He's been even a professor of Africana Studies at the City University of New York. He's actually been teaching this stuff for years. He's a longtime expert on black liberation in the Pan-African community. He's been active since the 60s. And he's also a person that is a consultant on films like Hidden Colors, and we'll get into that. And obviously, this is a person that even Tariq Nasheed really, really respected in the community. Again, he was in Hidden Colors 2, 3, 4, and also 5. So he's also there. Him and Tariq Nasheed had a certain relationship that spans at least a decade. However, within the last, 5 to 6 years, Tariq Nasheed has been very, very strong about the delineation. And this has caused Professor Smalls to have some level of criticism towards him.
Now, I don't agree, and I'll call names. I don't agree with Tariq's rhetoric. Okay? He's done some very good things, but words have meaning, and words have power. And you can use it once you've got a technology like we have today. One word can be so destructive you couldn't imagine it. Yeah. When you are constant in using the N-word, and you are constant in condemning an African simply because they're an immigrant, and you're constant, then there's something wrong with your knowledge base, not just your analysis. You have to have a decent knowledge foundation to even make an analysis. Tariq has pulled together a lot of fantastic scholars. Now, how much of that scholarship he has absorbed becomes another question. And he's my friend and my...
What if I told you your daily walk could be your most creative work time? With Whisper Flow,
my brother.
So that's Professor James Small basically taking a dig at Tariq Nasheed's behavior, so to speak. Tariq Nasheed, when he does roast people sometimes in the African community, there are some, names being put out there. There's some thumbnails that he uses. And so Professor James Small has criticized Tariq Nasheed openly for this. But then, after criticizing Tariq Nasheed, he said this.
I'm asking brother Tariq Nasheed. Let me be very clear. Tariq is my brother. Tariq is my comrade. I'm proud of the work that he's done in Hidden Colors. I'm proud of the conferences he's done in trying to deal with reparations. I'm proud of the museum that he's put together. And if I want to criticize him about language and words he used, I've done it publicly and to him privately. That's what men do. Children, I don't want to call you a name, you deserve, so I said children, trying to create conflict between brothers for the purpose of having conflict. To me, that's an attack on the black race and an attack on our effort to free ourselves. So, children, back the hell up. Tariq and I are comrades, brothers, and friends. You ain't gonna mess with that. Leave it alone. Peace and blessings.
Now, in this clip, he's saying, listen, you guys are trying to cause division between me and Tariq. Boy, you don't sit your stupid ass down. Who the f you think you is? You know, nothing is wrong with us. We are brothers in arms. You know, this, that, and the third. And then again, Tariq Nasheed having respect for Professor James Small.
Hold on.
And then recently, there was this interview.
You've seen this petty beef, you know, between Africans and African Americans.
But we don't know how much American State Department or Justice Department is involved in Foundation of Black America. Who's getting paid the money to say what they're saying? So what you're seeing ain't quite what you see, and it's only a piece of what you see.
So this last interview is what people are really up in arms about, because you see James Small talking about FBA, and he's insinuating that the person that has the most to gain from it, which is Tariq, is also an agent. Now, this is interesting because we've heard him just right here, you know, insinuate that him and Tariq Nasheed are buddies. I mean, he's been in several Hidden Colors I've already named. At least 4 times he's been inside of those things. Then he also said that for those people who were trying to cause division between him and Tariq, you know, you're the problem. But now we're hearing Professor James Small himself call Tariq an agent. Now, this is interesting because Tariq Nasheed would be smart.
But yeah, the thing with James Small, I know a lot of people are talking about that. You know, James Small, Professor James Small. A lot of people have been on his bumper because he was very, very disrespectful to the lineage, very disrespectful to me. And yeah, he said some little disrespectful stuff before, and I kind of let it slide. I didn't, you know, I'm like, okay. You know, he was in the new movie that we're working on, Hidden Colors 6. And basically what it looks like, because James Small, he was one of the main people talking delineation language.
Tariq mentioned something that's important. Delineation language. Now, I did not know this, but shout out to Brother George Macon over at Street Media TV. He also came from the Sonetter TV camp, and he actually had receipts of this delineation language from Professor James Small.
He allowed people to have us deny our identity as African Americans, while other Africans come from other places and try to assume that identity for economic reasons and political reasons. And yet, who have allied themselves with the African American in both instances, that those immigrant African communities tend to ally themselves with the European Americans, not understanding what the historical relationship between the African American and European American is. All the war, the cultural war, the spiritual war, the economic war, the political war that still exists between those two communities. So when you're an African from another place, you come and say, well, I can't get caught up in that, I'm here to make money, then you ally yourself with someone I'm at war with and wonder why I treat you a certain way. So you need to understand what you have just done, besides disrespecting me in my country. Something I would never do to you in your country. I would not go to Senegal and choose the side of the French against you. I would not come to Jamaica and choose the side of the Brits against you. So why would you come to America and choose the side of the white Americans, for whatever reason, economic, political, cultural, or whatever, against me and my interests, and then tell me I'm unwelcoming to you? I welcome my friends and my brothers and sisters. I do not welcome my enemies, whether they look like me or not.
So there we have Professor James Small saying something very similar to what Tariq Nasheed is saying. Now, Tariq Nasheed, who typically would come after somebody with more bigger, but because of who Professor James Small is, he also reveals this.
But let me say this for the record. I'm not rocking with Professor Smalls anymore. The disrespect, and I've shown that man nothing but respect. Family that he has a hotel over there in Africa. When that shit was failing, I gave money to help him out with that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that type of the little disrespect, and he's been kind of doing that. He gets with these tethers and taking shots at me, but then he just went real disrespectful to me, and there's a point of no return.
I like making my podcast. I don't like making short clips of my podcast. So the AI chooses the best clips, maybe this one.
Right now?
Yeah, because it knows what's important. And it actually gives you a score based on how well your clip is going to connect with your audience.
Hold on.
Yeah, there's a point of no return with some of the stuff he was saying about me. That ain't so for the record, I'm letting folks know. Yeah, all that respect the elders. I respect the elders if you are respectable. Because you start kind of lying and saying shit you know ain't true. I have no respect for you at this point. I've lost all respect for Professor Smalls. I don't rock with him. We're taking him out of the movie Hidden Color 6. He's not going to be in it. It's going to be a minute. We're re-editing that. We're taking him out.
Now, he is saying that, I've helped him out in the past, but the disrespect has gone too far. He was going to put him in Hidden Color 6, and now he's taking him out. Okay? Now, I've listened to both sides of the argument. This is actually what I believe. Number one, Professor James Small is dealing with Tariq Nasheed's language. All right? And if you're a person that's built your identity as a hardcore Pan-Africanist like Professor James Small, and I'm not talking about somebody like me who is kind of moderate or kind of in the middle or have experienced things that make me see the world one way or the other. If you're Professor James Small, if you're a real hard-body Pan-Africanist old school, he has to say something like this. The reason is because it's the wording that he's dealing with. All right, and I'm trying to see it from his angle. Professor James Small, since the 60s and 70s, has been doing this and living this lifestyle, and he expresses the same thing that Tariq Nasheed does, and in that the message that James Small uses is the same, but the wording is different. Tariq Nasheed will roast Africans. He will make fun of certain things. He doesn't hate Africans. Obviously, in his real roasts are against those people who disrespect Black Americans. But if you really key into his lives or into his Twitter spaces, he's always respectful to people that are respectful to him. Now, Tariq Nasheed does have an entertainment aspect of his commentary, which Professor James Small is more academic. So what James Small is dealing with is some nuances and how he's approaching the situation. But clearly, to me, he's not listening to all what Tariq is saying in some of these streams or some of these videos, right? But I get it. He has to be against what Tariq Nasheed is doing because he's a Pan-Africanist and a hardcore Pan-Africanist such as him, like hard body. There's no way he can fundamentally agree with delineation. That would not be true, okay? Here's the big issue. Tariq Nasheed has not changed his position in about the last 7 or 8 years. This has been very consistent. So on one end, you don't like how he's saying it, but every opportunity that comes up for Hidden Colors, you're willing to go there and get paid. You don't mind, using Tariq Nasheed's platform to elevate yourself. And Tariq Nasheed even said that you have admitted that you have benefited from working with Tariq Nasheed. Now, you have also said publicly that Tariq Nasheed is your brother and that people should not be trying to drive division in between the two of you, because while you disagree with him, you appreciate the good that he has done. But as an elder, what you do is you go back on your word on to somebody else's show, and then you then call this man the FBI or the CIA, and they're paying him, but you are going to be in Hidden Colors. And this is why people are looking at Professor James Small with the side eye, because on one end, he's a CIA agent and all it is, but you sure don't mind getting no money from him. And when you needed help with your hotel that was failing in Ghana, you was able to take the money from him then. So what is it? Is it that if you're not going to deal with him, then why are you telling us that y'all ain't got no issues? But then come out there and then turn on the guy when you going, every time you got a Hidden Colors, you there collecting a check. And for me, that is fake. That is phony, right? If you don't like what he does, simply don't deal with him. The fact is, what he's complaining about, you have been complaining about for years. In fact, you were one of the first to complain about it. And to be honest, I have seen exactly what both of y'all have said. I live in Africa. And I talk about the same things on my channel. I'm a person that is in the Pan-African community, but I do understand that there is a lack of disparity, or there is not a lot of parity between the black diaspora and Africa. And that's something that needs to be fixed, right? And that's not even just the black community or the black American community. I find a disparity between Africans living in the diaspora and Africans on the continent. I see that just with them, not only us, and those are the things that need to be addressed. But I digress. Professor James Small has lost a lot of support simply by how he handled this. What he should have understood was coming after Tariq in the way that he did out of left field is not something that an elder should do, especially after a decades-long relationship with a man that you were financially benefiting from. You benefited from his audience. You've come onto his documentaries. All of these things you have benefited from. And then after, you have now come out and to say what you're saying. It looks fake as hell. And again, all due respect to Professor James Small. I mean, in the community, he's a legend. You can't take nothing from that. But the way that he handled it was poor, in my honest opinion. It was poor. If you felt like that, if you wanted to distance yourself from him, especially after you were going to be in the new Hidden Colors, you should have distanced yourself from him privately, and we should have never known about it. So guys, what do you think? It's your boy O'Shea D. Jackson back at it again with another episode of the Celebrity Junker. We just for all that you do. Subscribe to the bell. We're out.
Alright, so we're getting about a better look and understanding of what happened. So this is new to me, so I don't know. So we're going to take a look at this one, and then I want to make my comment about it, and then I'll be right back.
I don't understand where their brains are when they say, I'm not an African. And all this tells me is that self-hate, self-ignorance, lack of understanding of African history and of history in general. No, we have to get our brains straight. We have to understand what being an African means. You know, you're going to give me the white slop and then give it a name like Foundation of Black America. Don't label me with slop. Now, if you use that because you're trying to find an identity, I'll help you with that. Because you deserve to have your own identity, like everybody. Yes. But don't bring the same white slop along and say you're anti-African, you are not African, you're not from Africa. That's the white slop that they've been trying to push in our brain from day one. Throw that slop out, empty and wash your bucket, and let us bring some real black stuff up in there.
You know, I hate these long ass pauses.
Why pay over $2,000 to create an ebook when this $27 AI does it all?
Been a thorn in our side for more than a century.
Decades.
And we have to contend because there's just so much confusion, right? So what Baba, why have you? There are four sentiments that are often expressed by our young brothers and sisters when we engage them, our FBA family, and they are our family. And when they express them, what they'll say is, well, like Baba James, he aligns with us, but I want to share these 4 sentiments with you, and I can do it one at a time, or I can give you all 4, and I want you to be able to just
do all 4, and I can respond, because if I'm late for my sister's birthday, she's gonna kill me.
Gotcha. All right, so I give you all 4. I'll give you all 4. So these are 4 of the most common like anti-African sentiments we hear being expressed by some of our brothers and sisters. The first one is Black people in America are not African and have no connection to Africa. Native Black Americans. That's one. The second one is Black people in America may be genetically African, but so is the entire planet. Everybody on Earth is African. That's 2. The third one is African people on the continent don't refer to themselves as Africans. We're the only ones who call ourselves Africans. That's 3. And the fourth one is Black Americans are the only ones who practice Pan-Africanism. Those are the 4 most common kind of like retorts that we hear, and they always say, well, Baba James Smalls agrees with us.
Well, Baba James Stone's going to tell them I don't agree to none of that shit I just heard.
Yes.
So I don't understand where their brains are when they say I'm not an African. And all this tells me is that self-hate, self-ignorance, lack of understanding of African history and of history in general are what we're dealing with people who have taken some, what do you call it, clips, little sound bites from the internet, and now they've become historians and political leaders because they can get a bunch of people to when you push the little button for them,
subscribe. Yeah.
Because I was very quiet for a while, and then I go like, I can't stay quiet. So, but the last year and a half, I've just been out here trying to teach as much as I can, and people are afraid because that means you got to change your little black behind into something better than what the white man has created you to be. You're gonna give me the white slop and then give it a name like Foundation of Black America. Don't label me with slop. Now, if you use that because you're trying to find an identity, I'll help you with that. Because you deserve to have your own identity like everybody.
Yes.
But don't bring the same white slop along and say you're anti-African, you are not African, you're not from Africa. That's the white slop that they've been trying to push in our brain from day one. Throw that slop out, empty and wash your bucket, and let us bring some real black stuff up in there. Let's talk about Monica Delaney. Let's talk about Booker Washington. Let's talk about Ida B. Wells. Let's talk about Harriet Tubman. Let's talk about Sojourner Truth. Go back in our history. Every organization that we formed from the 1700s forward was called the African something. Every damn one. Prince Hall. Free African Lodge. 1749 or someplace up there. Richard Allen, Absalom Jones, the African Methodist Episcopal Zion Church, the African Methodist Church, the Black Baptist Movement, the African Baptist Church. This is all back in the 1700s, okay? By the time we hit the 1792, Malcolm didn't invite the Afro-American nothing. In 1892, a group of black women out of Rochester, New York, formed the Afro-American League, headed by T. Thomas Fortune. Okay, we had the United African Societies. This is all in the 1800s. So they need to study some history. Yeah. We never stop identifying ourselves as African. Not one moment, not one day, not 1 hour on the blacks going on in North America.
So now, recently, there was on a broadcast, dude who's kind of known in our circles as being a troll, and he gave you some he basically lied to you and gave you some misinformation about some of the stuff that we've said, and then tried to use you against me, and some of these other trolls tried to use your words against me. How do you feel about that, sir?
Right, well, part of it is the young man, Omawale, called me yesterday. Mm-hmm. And his position, he said, I wasn't the one putting that out there like that. And I said, what do you mean? I said, because, I couldn't find him. I had the name wrong.
Yeah.
And when I found the name in my phone, he called me just as I found the name. And he says, listen, because I did this little piece, I was trying to get it right on Twitter, calling people out for doing that, because I'm saying, wait a minute, that's not one, that was not what really happened. Now, he did raise these things about Foundation of Black America. And I go like, these are my children, I think is the term I use, and I love them. You got to understand it. But I think my children have any issues, I'm going to argue with them to get the issues right. Right? If they made any statements wrong, then I'm not going to stab them in the back or talk to them about behind their back. I tell them I love you, our relationship, and so forth. And whenever I have any issues, I talk to you about it. Sometimes you be quiet, sometimes you take me on, but we've never had a negative. Right. You and I. Of course. And you know the things I disagree, and they ain't really big things. That's the issue. I really argue with you about one thing, the N-word, right? And sometimes I think you lose your temper a little bit too much on some of these Negroes who don't deserve you putting that energy on. And those have been our two issues. And we deal with this going back. And I remember when you were having an issue, but I think, we won't even call his name, but a little brother out there. And I call you and I talked to you about it, and you squashed that. There was an issue with some sister who was coming after you about some stuff. I called you this a couple of years ago. You squashed that. They didn't squash it, but you did. So I have to let people understand and be clear, because I got some crazy calls from all over the world. When I was coming to Washington, you're not going there. Wait a minute, I had to do it like real. I almost had to do it to Tariq Nasheed. I had to go up on some folks. Say, what the hell are you to tell me where I go, who I speak with, and why? Now, if you call me and say, but Small, Tariq, is that right? I would have told you that ain't right. You know, you've been misinformed. And so when I did the show with the young people, because they call me, and I do a lot of shows with young people call me, and most of the times I don't know who they are beforehand, and a lot of times it's the first time. And some have played me out of pocket, you know, but they just want to say I got Professor Small on there, and blah, 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 blah. And on this show, when the issue came up, and I told them, when I want to speak to you and make a criticism, I do it to your face. I'm not a backstabber. You know, I'm going to tell you, and I'll say right out in the public that I own it. That's how men do. Right. You know, that's how men be. And then we had a pretty good, I thought, with a decent discussion with me explaining what Pan-Africanism is, explaining what Foundation of Black American is, and telling them I'm both. Because to me, Pan-Africanism is how we unite the black people all over the world to be one force. Right. Now, we can call it Pan anything we want to, but all the Pan means is unity, nothing else. And that Foundation of Black American, that we have a right to identify ourselves in the same way any other ethnic group, and I think I used the Jamaican community. They don't call themselves African, they call themselves Jamaicans. The people from Haiti don't say I'm African, they say I'm Haitian. And we find no contradiction with that. We're the only group in North America that use the term African to describe ourselves.
All right, you heard it. Before we go on, I'm going to give my opinion about that, because this is the first two videos that I've seen where there was a falling out between Professor Smalls and Tariq Nasheed. Now, I like Tariq Nasheed for what he did in respect to Black history with the Hidden Colors series and all that stuff, and the opening of the museum out there in California. And like I said, people do grow, people do change over time, and you know, his pimp days as King Flex and all of this, and going to Capitol Hill and trying to talk to senators, that was some bullshit. But that was back in the day, and people changed, and you know, he's seen the light, I guess, I don't know. But for me, with these two videos, based on what I know or I've heard, I'm going to say that I don't know, but my opinion is that perhaps it's an economic angle, jealousy, envy, I don't know, that is within the framework and mindset of Professor Smalls, I'm sorry. And that may be the case. I don't think that Tariq Nasheed would ever belittle Professor Small for what he knows, and other people who are part of the Hidden Colors videos. But that's about as far as I can really, you know, step out there and talk about Professor Smalls. And and Tariq Nasheed. Like I said, Tariq Nasheed blocked me, man. He blocked me because of what I said about his pimp days. That was a long time ago. But, I was like, how can you be this fucking stupid and you go to Washington Capitol and do all this walking up and down the street talking about you a pimp and you gonna show them how to pimp game? Man, that puts black men in a very bad light. And no matter what he does after that, it's a done deal. You know what I mean? People are gonna be looking like, well, you was a pimp. You said, you can teach congressmen and senators and all that stuff how to be a pimp. Like, who fucking does that? But that's my take on it. I wish them the best. That's all I can really do. And I don't know all of the other intricate details that are a part of that. So, I'm on the sideline. If I see anything or hear anything else that, lights it up a little bit, I'm going to say that he might be a CIA asset. Excuse me. He might be a CIA asset. Who knows? To be honest with you, I really don't give a fuck. We are on a whole nother level here. And we were talking about, how people get the crumbs off the table and white people ain't shit, to be honest with you. And they know they're not. And there's videos all over the motherfucking place on YouTube and X, how they shooting down and killing each other and blaming black folks and that we're the killers and we're the worst prostitutes and gamblers and looters and drug dealers and drug users. They take the cake on that motherfucker because there's no accountability. You know what I mean? And the idea is that the world is changing, man. And all I've ever done, with Piers Morgan or whoever the hell is the most biggest, biggest white stars on X or in the media, they don't want to have me on their show. I wish a motherfucker would. Because I'm not going to be doing no damn cooning. Hold on for a second. Hold on. It's muted. It's on Saturday night. I'm praying that it don't be that bad. But it's alright. Every now and then, somebody come through the street here in our little community and blast and little kids, or younger adult. But anyways, we gotta turn within, and we gotta be on code. If you attack one, you attack all. And this is the very ethos, I guess, of the African continent now. You attack one, you attack all. And Africa is on the rise. It cannot be stopped. It's already done, said. And things are coming together and putting in place. I've heard that there was a set number of billionaires who will become the new Rothschilds of this century and going into the next for millennia. But all we have to do is just remember, stay united. Because we are a blessed people and we are a cursed people. We are blessed when we are united and standing strong with each other. You cannot fight with just one friend. You got to fight with your whole fist. And if we don't do that, the opposite is what we are going through right now. That's the curses. We lose everything. So either we want, I hate that. Either we want the curses or we want the blessing. And to be honest with you, ain't got shit to do with white folks. They're hanging on to our last and every word. First, second, and third, and last word. And it just amazes me that we don't know our history the way it should be known. Because if it is, we shoot back. Our brother, I can't remember his name, but he shot back. There's a book called Negroes with Guns, and we shoot back. Well, we're not cowards. The white boy is the coward. The white girl is the coward and the whore. We're not. We're kings and queens, civilizers, establishing and maintaining order. And to be honest with you, all of this world in which we're living in right now is way out of order. It is out of meiotic balance. And the only people that can put it back in balance is the black man and woman. We are the inheritors of Ma'at, of which the three major religions come from: Judaism, Christianity, and oh boy, can stifle that yawn, and Islam. What can I say that will trigger in the heart, mind, and soul of our people to wake them up, to see the reality, to know that white folks ain't shit, to know that white folks are all about gaming you. They don't give a fuck about you niggas. They really don't. They give a fuck. They don't even give a fuck about themselves. That you can see that. One white boy attacked two white girls, damn near broke the neck of one, and raped the shit out of them, anally, orally, and vaginally, leaving them damn near dead. Did he go to prison? He was facing about 60 to 80 years in jail. But no, the white judge let him go. Not one fucking day in jail because his wealthy parents and well-connected parents brought the charges down into juvenile charges. And they let him go. There is no accountability with white folk. If there was, there would be well overpopulated in the prison system, because that's where the fuck they deserve to go. If you are raping kids like I've done on like I've seen on X, we're gonna go into X after this one. Hold on. We're gonna excuse me. We're gonna go into X at the final part of this, because I really wanted you to see what the white guy said. If what this white guy is saying doesn't rub you the right way to wake the fuck up, I don't know what will. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go right into, it's about an hour long, so it'll take us to about 10:15, and we're gonna break this up in 20 minutes, because I don't want to run all the way through, and I'll be right back. If you can, please follow the guy and subscribe to his channel.
This book right here says Benedict Arnold, A Traitor in Our Midst by Barry Wilson.
It says here, in those early New Haven days, according to one biographer, Arnold had a strong physical appearance with a distinctive nose, a high forehead, suggested intelligence, a prominent chin, and great piercing eyes. Elsewhere, he has been as short, swarthy, and hard muscled. According to the Encyclopedia of the American Revolution, he was 5'9", so he's not that short, tall, with gray eyes, set of black hair, and a swarthy complexion. Who's saying that? The Encyclopedia of American Revolution, saying that he has a swarthy complexion. Benedict Arnold, 1740, senior officer of the British Army who commanded the American Legion in the later part of the Revolutionary War. He is best known for his defection from the Continental Army to the British side of the conflict in 1780. So a traitor, right? We'll call him a traitor. These were spies, really. They were swarthy spies. In the Encyclopedia of American Revolution, describe him as swarthy. Does this look like a swarthy person to you? Nah, this is not swarthy.
He got rosy cheeks.
They're trying to make swarthy into a whole different thing here. Another body snatcher, ladies and gentlemen. American heritage. Benedict Arnold, the aftermath of treason. What are they saying here? It says, from an open carriage bearing him up Walnut Street, he acknowledged the cheers of the crowd with blunt nods of his big head. He had a big head, though. He kept saying it, right? His twice wounded left leg rested on a pillow. His blue eyes, right? Blue eyes startling a pale in a swarthy, trusting, truculent, handsome face. The American heritage, trusted writing on history, travel, food, and cuisine. You got to trust them. Swarthy. And then this is the Legends of the American Revolution, 1776, or Washington and his. And then it says George Lippert. This is an older book, a more primary source. All right. What is it saying about Benedict Arnold? It says that they tell me that his features, swarthy and battle-worn, lost every trace of vivacity. They were rigidly fixed, the lips compressed, the bow calm and unthrown, and wore an expression that no one could read, while his eyes had a wildness in their gleam, a fire in their glance, and told somewhat of the supernatural struggle of work within him, the battle between Arnold's revenge and Arnold's pride. Alright, Arnold, the swarthy guy. This is from Claremont Review of Books. The regulars are coming. It says Rick Atkinson's Revolutionary War trilogy looks fair to become the standard account of the war that brought the American Republic into being by Andrew Roberts. Alright?
Listen to the track, bitch!
It says, similarly, Atkinson depicts Benedict Arnold as a muscular and graceful with black hair, a swarthy complexion, and that long beaky nose. He was adept at fencing, boxing, sailing, shooting, riding, and ice skating, and was a fine captain as America would produce that century, a man born to lead other men in dark of night. Alright, so again, another source telling us he's swarthy.
Hold on.
Benedict Arnold. Now it says here the book is Life of Abraham Lincoln, being a biography of his life from his birth to his assassination, also a record of his ancestors, and a collection of anecdotes attributed to Lincoln. He is the gentlest memory of our nation. That right here is the Abraham Lincoln's autobiography. Now it says here the following autobiography was written by Mr. Lincoln's own hand. Now he says right here again, and it's in this book too, it says, if any personal description of me is thought desirable, it may be said, I am in height 6 feet 4 inches, nearly lean in flesh, weighing on average 180 pounds, dark complexion. He's saying himself, dark complexion, dark complexion. What are you going to say? Hey, Curimeo, that means pale. Also, dark means pale too? Dark complexion is dark complexion. I don't care what anybody says. They want to show us white images of Abraham Lincoln. You want to say, oh no, he just meant he was a little dark because he's Semitic, or because he might be a little mixed, or because he's whatever they want to try to say. Dark complexion is dark complexion. It's not pale, right? With coarse black hair, dark complexion. That's himself describing himself as that, alright? Alright, now we're going to this book. All right, we're going to go to her mom, another source. It says the story
I ain't heard nothing
Life
yet.
of Lincoln, a biography composed of 500 true stories told by Abraham Lincoln and his friends. Again, true stories selected from all authentic sources and fitted together in order, forming his complete life history by Wayne Whipple. I'm on page 273 of the same book. And down here it says, almost from his opening words, the speaker assumed an air of superiority, stating his facts in convincingly authoritative tone and belittling his adversary's political pretensions, and generally treating him with such marked condescension that many of Lincoln's friends, watching his dark, homely, careworn face, his dark face, his dark complexion, homely, careworn face, began to fear that he had displayed more courage than wisdom in courting comparison with so brilliant a rival. And we're on page 331 of this same book. And again, we're going to get another source saying the same thing. It says Lincoln's own life story. And again, it's the same autobiography where he says, if any personal description of me is thought desirable, it may be said I am in height 6 feet 4 inches, nearly lean in flesh, weighing on average 180 pounds, dark complexion. Again, dark complexion. Alright, so when they're saying his dark, homely face, they know what they're saying. They don't mean like a dark face, like he's looking dark, like sad or like evil. No, he's dark complexion with coarse black hair and gray eyes. That's from his own words. Yours very truly, A. Lincoln. We're on page 573 of the same book. Alright, and down here it says, is this bloody war ever to end? It says, the morning after the bloody battle of the Wilderness, I saw him walk up and down the executive chamber, his long arms behind his back, his dark features, again, his dark features contracted still more with gloom. As he looked up, I thought his face the saddest one I ever had seen, he exclaimed. I'll continue, page 579 of the same book. 579 says, the president in the streets of the Capitol. It says right here, I see very plainly Abraham Lincoln's dark brown face with the deep-cut lines. The eyes always look to me with a deep sadness in the expression. Again, Abraham Lincoln, dark brown face, dark brown face. Who is dark brown? Dark brown face again. Look at this image. I'm telling you right now, people. Does this look like a dark brown face to you? Is this a dark complexion face to you? Is this dark features? Dark brown. Alright, same book, page 618, chapter 23. Says the end of the war after the inaugural ceremonies. Says here he was in his plain 2-horse barouche and looked very much worn and tired. The lines indeed of vast responsibilities, intricate questions, and demands of life and death cut deeper than even upon his dark brown face. Again, his dark brown face, yet all the old goodness and tenderness, sadness, and canny shrewdness underneath the furrows. Alright, we're in the book The Hidden Lincoln, from the letters and papers of William H. Herndon, from page 184 of this book. And it says there's a letter here from June 24th, 1887. Mr. Bartlett, my dear sir. Right, they're writing to that person. And it seems by your friend W.H. Henderson. Right, and he's writing about what Mr. Lincoln looks like. It says, you speak of Mr. Lincoln's fine physical nature. But to see and study the man, you would say that Mr. Lincoln's physical nature was comparatively low, coarse, and not fine and high. He seemed to have no blood in his frame. His flesh was dark. His flesh was darkness.
Let's solve your overthinking. According to psychology, the biggest problem for overthinkers.
Alright, all this dark, where's the pale? Again, they keep showing us these white pictures of Abraham Lincoln growing up. Every time we Google Lincoln, every time we try to look for him, even in these books that are describing him as dark complexion, they keep putting a white pale face Lincoln in the cover of the book, even though they're writing his flesh was dark. In the same book on page 361, down here says John C. Richardson's statement from, it says here, my father came to Spencer County, Indiana in 1828. It says Lincoln was tall, a raw-boned at 18, When 16 years of age, he was 6 feet high. He was so tall, right? He was somewhat bony and raw, dark skinned. Dark skinned. What does this mean? Oh, Pucurimeo, that means pale. No, dark skinned. Why do they keep showing us pale face images of Abraham Lincoln? And we're getting only accounts of him being dark skinned from everybody. Dark skinned, dark complexion, dark features, dark face, bronze, dark brown face, dark brown complexion, dark skin. On page 412, we get down here Lincoln, the individual, and they start describing him. Let's see what he says. It says, it is now the time to describe the person, Mr. Lincoln. He was about 6 feet 4 inches high, and when he left the city, was 51 years old, having good health and no gray hairs or but few on his head. He was thin, wiry, sinewy, I don't know how to say that, raw and big, heavy boned, thin through the breast to the back and narrow across the shoulders. Standing, he leaned forward and was what may be called stoop-shouldered, inclining to the consumptively built, his usual weight being about 160 or 80 pounds. His organization, rather his structure and functions, worked slowly. His blood had to run a long distance from his heart to the extremities of his frame. He was so long, right? His bones were long, he was tall, and his nerve force had to travel through dry ground a long distance before his muscles were obedient to his will. His organisms and structure were loose and leathery. His body was well shrunk, cadaverous, and shriveled, having very dark skin. Very dark skin. We're adding an adjective to this. We're not just saying he's dark skinned, he's very dark skinned. We're not talking about a tan, we're not talking about some pale faced dude who might have look a little Semitic. No, he is very dark skinned. They're describing the individual. They told you in the beginning of this. Say, let's get to his character. He is very dark skinned, dry and tough, wrinkled and lined, somewhat in flabby folds, dark hair, the man looking woe-struck. The whole man, body and mind, worked slowly, creakingly, and as if it needed oiling. It's called The Life of Abraham Lincoln, drawn from original sources and containing many speeches, letters, and telegrams. Hitherto unpublished by Ida M. Tarbell, Volume 1. This is from 1900. On page 360 of this book, it says, they noted his great height, his huge hands and feet, his peculiar languidness of limb. His shoulders drooped as he stood, giving his form a look of irresolution. His smooth-shaven face seemed of bronze as he listened to their message and amazed them by its ruggedness. The cheeks were sunken, the cheekbones high, the nose large, the mouth unsymmetrical, the underlip protruding a little, alright? So he's, what? His face is what? Bronze. A bronze face. Bronze. It says here, the Lincoln Encyclopedia, alright? This is the Lincoln Encyclopedia, the spoken and written words of Abraham Lincoln, from his own words, people, alright? An encyclopedia of his own words, arranged for ready reference, compiled and edited by Archer H. Shaw, with introduction by David C. Mearns, assistant librarian from the Library of Congress. This is from 1950. And we're on page 190 of this book, of this encyclopedia, right? Alright, so we're zoomed in to page 190, and it says here the personal description of Abraham Lincoln, his own personal descriptions, right? We're in encyclopedia, Library of Congress. Pay attention, people. It says, perhaps you have forgotten me. Don't you remember a long black fellow who rode on horseback with you from Tremont to Springfield nearly 10 years ago, swimming our horses over the Machina on the trip? Well, I am that same old fellow. Alright, so that was Abraham Lincoln writing to somebody, to Josephus Hewitt on February 13th, 1848, saying, do you remember, man? I'm the black dude. I'm the black fellow. We got another one here. Again, we have this already. Just want to verify. We got it from a different source and a verifiable source, right? It says, if any personal description of me is thought desirable, it may be said that I am in height 6 feet 4 inches, nearly lean in flesh, weighing an average 180 pounds, dark complexion, alright, again, dark complexion, with coarse black hair and dark eyes. No other marks or brands recollected. Remember what that meant? and he was making fun that he used to be a slave and he ran away. This is the American Orator's Own Book of the Art Extemporaneous Public Speaking, including a course of discipline for obtaining the faculties of discrimination, arrangement and oral discussion with debate, and exercise and argument of declamation, and numerous lectures for practice, blah, 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 blah. James K. John and Brother, 1836. Chief Justice Marshall, I believe it's John Marshall. We'll get to his name. The Chief Justice, person of Marshall, because they're describing all these important people, right? Now it says here, the Chief Justice of the United States is in his person tall, meager, emaciated, his muscles relaxed, and his joints so loosely connected as not only to disqualify him, apparently, for any vigorous exertions of body, but to destroy everything like elegance and harmony in his air and movements. Indeed, in his whole appearance and demeanor, dress, attitude, and gesture, sitting, standing, and walking, he is as far removed from the idolized graces of Lord Chesterfield as any other gentleman on earth. To continue the portrait, his head and face are small in proportion to his height. His complexion is swarthy. All right, John Marshall, Chief Justice of the United States. I'm gonna show you who he is. What Wikipedia shows us, right? But this is a primary source. Again, this is a primary source describing it. His complexion is swarthy. Swarthy means black. There's no going around that. That's black, dark skin. The muscles of his face being relaxed. All right, so it continues with him. Who is John Marshall? We got another body snatcher here, guys. John Marshall, it says here, was an American politician and lawyer and served as the Chief Justice of the United States from 1801 to 1835. Marshall remains the longest serving Chief Justice, fourth longest serving justice. All right, so he was under Adams. All right, he was the Marshall served as the United States Secretary of State under John Adams. All right, under John Adams. Let's go to the picture. All right, now I'm asking you, does this guy look like a swarthy guy to you? I don't see anywhere where they would say that or mistake him for being swarthy. Because in reality, his complexion is swarthy. Do I have to remind everybody what swarthy means? Nothing like that. I wanted people to see the hijack. Not even close, remember. And these are descendants of Europeans, right?
POV, you thought writing an email to your client would take 2 minutes. 15 minutes later, you're still at it. We've all...
A Chronicle of the Supreme Court, Edward Samuel Corwin. Alright? And again, his head and face are small in proportion to his height, his complexion swarthy. Swarthy. Just to confirm, just to make sure that wasn't just a typo in that other book. Thomas Hickey from Wethersfield Historical Society. Alright? Alright, so it says, oh, and 6, he was a dark complexioned Irishman. By the way, I'm finding these continual references to Hickey's swarthy complexion amongst amusing. It seems to be a piece of information that could only be provided by someone who actually had known Hickey, a primary source, or at least had seen him, but nowhere in my research did I come across any such first-hand observations. So this book is Washington by Ron Chernoff, a very famous historian and publisher of books of American history. He actually wrote a lot on Alexander Hamilton. Now, let's see what he says of Thomas Hickey. Hickey. So Thomas Hickey and Michael Lynch also detained on counterfeiting charges as being in league with the British to sabotage the Continental Army as it defended New York. In their wild boatswain, the two men had contended that when British warships anchored in the harbor, William Tryon, the royal governor.
Let me stop it right there. Like I said, I want to stop it at the 20-minute mark. Just give my, thoughts about this. And immediately I remembered, I can't remember the king's name, but he's from Portugal. He visited the South, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, on horseback in full regalia. Blacker than midnight. Now, motherfucking what? all the so-called wannabe slaves, which were really prisoners of war, were looking at this black king riding through, and all the white folk were kissing his motherfucking ass. Do you understand what I'm telling you? Don't fall for the bullshit. You are listening to the real deal, Holyfield, the facts. I don't give a fuck about your feelings. I don't give a fuck about your emotion, motherfucker. I give a fuck about what is true and what is factual and what can be proven. You are hearing the proof here. What fucking other goddamn proof do you need, dummy? Stop listening to what white folks tell you because they don't know shit. They only know what they've been taught. What they've been taught is a lie. They're not white, they're not Caucasian, they're not Aryan, they're Anglo-Saxon, they're European. They bleached out niggas from Dravidian albinos that when at that point, 3,000 years ago, there were only black people on the planet. There was no, I never seen a yellow man, I never seen a red man before in my life. That does not exist. Race does not exist. The very foundation of life on this planet and the universe is blackness. They were so out of this norm, the so-called pale skin Urugus, if I'm saying that right, or the damn, what's the name that our ancestors call them? Well, they call them troglodytes, and they call them growls and something else. They're going to come to me. But the idea is that we put them into Central Asia. That's where they come from. Originally, they come from Dravidian and albino, but we put them in Central Asia, where they made it with normal black folk. And at some point in the future, they broke past the Hadrian Wall. You heard me talk about that last Tuesday. To push our black Roman papacy into France. The 30 Years' War, the 10 Years' War, the 100 Years' War were war between us and our children. They are our kids. This is not no fucking joke. They have no history. None that they can point to and say they did. They have no language. And I proved it last Tuesday, where the only guy that they had was Ooga Booga. That's it. They have nothing. They play the card game spades, making it look like they got all the spades in their hand. We don't have shit. We have all the spades. We sit back, relax. Anything they throw on the table, we automatically got it. It's beaten, done and said. The thing is that we have to understand is that we won the race already. The tortoise, if I'm saying that correctly, the tortoise or the turtle and the hare, the rabbit. White folk went to sleep for 100 years. They're thinking that they're going to be on top of it. No, bitch, it don't work that way. You got to stay on that motherfucker every day. And from here on out, I can honestly tell you, white folks are in that crosshairs. We are on your motherfucking ass. We're going to be on your ass. We're going to stay on your ass. And we're going to beat the fuck out you. It's happening now as we speak. This is not no motherfucking joke. This is not no game. Gaddafi said, if you kill me, you'll be opening the door to all of hell for all of eternity. And look what happened when they killed him. Flooding with our Muslim brothers. I guess he's the prime minister. Prime minister is the head guy of Canada. Prime minister, whatever his name is, he converted to Islam. All these motherfuckers are converting to Islam. They don't want the smoke, but they getting the smoke. Hell, motherfucking yeah, bitch. What goes around comes around. You reap what you sow, and so shall you reap. All the hate that you've given out, not only to your fellow human beings, but animals and plants and shit, man. You motherfuckers are crazy. We ain't some plum and stupid. You are. You actually believe that this Wizard of Oz blowing smoke up everybody's ass. We're gonna listen, and we ain't gonna believe what our eyes is telling us. Let's continue. Hold on.
Would distribute royal pardons to defectors. It says Matthew's name, Thomas Hickey, a swarthy brazen fellow. Thomas Hickey is a swarthy brazen fellow. Matthew named him Thomas Hickey, a swarthy brazen fellow. Swarthy. Oh, now we got Samuel Francois. I knew I was going to find this guy.
Uh-oh.
Alright.
Francois.
See, Samuel Francois. So they got this image of him right here.
Now let me say this before we continue. When a witness is lying in court one time you dismiss every motherfucking word after that bitch. You mean to fucking tell me you dumb niggas in America can't see this shit? You just gonna keep going and going and going. And this is why I brought up X, and we're gonna see what that white boy done said. I'll continue.
A sketch supposedly from the 1900s, right? So that's not even near his time. He's from 1700s. It says that Samuel Francis was an American restaurateur and the owner-operator of Francis Tavern in New York City during the Revolutionary War. He provided for prisoners held during the 7-year British occupation of New York and claimed to have been a spy for the American side. He was a spy. At the end of the war, it was at Francis Tavern that General George Washington said farewell to his officers. Francis later served as steward of Washington's presidential household in New York City and Philadelphia. So he knew him personally. Alright? Samuel Francois. Hold up, Samuel Francois. I just want to show you the title of the book. It says Key Leaders in Colonial New York. And it has an Iroquois chief right here. Elizabeth O'Grady and Colleen Adams. Alright? And who's this swarthy fellow right here? Alright, so this book is by Elizabeth O'Grady and Colleen Adams. Not all African men, dodge the hijack, a lot of all this African stuff, right? Not all so-called colored men, not all colored men and women in the colony of New York were slaves. Samuel Francois is believed to have been a free black man. He turned an old home in New York City into a tavern in 1762. In the early 1770s, Patriot leader wanted the colonists to fight for freedom from British rule. They met at Francis Tavern to discuss plans that led to the American Revolution. Alright, this is a picture of Samuel Francois, the owner of Francis Tavern. The tavern was melting place for important leaders of the time in New York. Alright, this is his drawing and depiction. Alright, and so see this depiction they got here? Because you know what it is? I'm showing you guys this is because his complexion is debated today. And it's silly, it's really silly. Alright, this is the president's kitchen cabinet, the story of the African Americans, right? Dodge the hijack again by Adrian Miller. It says some historians have strongly argued that Francis was white. Alright, does this guy look like a white person to you? Alright, and yeah, he owned a business in the 1700s, imagine. So, it says some historians, they're going to argue that Francis was white, and why would they want to argue that if he's clearly a so-called black man? Because they want to hide something. I know they're trying to hide it, and I bet you if you follow this guy's ancestry, it's going to lead to Europe. It's not going to, or maybe even an Indian in the West Indies, because he came from the West Indies in Haiti. This guy came from Haiti. Alright? It says here that some historians again strongly argue that Francis was white. In his painted portrait, he looks white. And while this is not dispositive of African heritage, dodge the hijack again, the images raises doubts. We know that Francis hailed from the West Indies, probably from Jamaica or St. Domingue, so they don't really know present-day Haiti. But again, the fact and of itself is not determinative of his race. Okay, so listen to this. Alexander Hamilton, a well-known Caucasian. Oh, we're gonna debunk this one. All right, so touch the hijack big time here. The funny thing is that
Alexander Hamilton was the first Secretary of the Treasury. He was a black guy. So when you see it, and then it's not, it's somewhat slick. Because a true Caucasian person is a black person. So that's, hold on. So if they're talking about Alexander Hamilton being a Caucasian from the Caucasus Mountains, these people, those people are still black today. So it doesn't matter about, what am I when I say? They're not saying specifically, distinctly, that Alexander Hamilton was white, pale skin. Saying he's Caucasian, but in the minds of people who don't know, you should know that when they're talking about Caucasian, they're talking about pale skin bitches and bastards. And they come from Jamaica and the Caribbean area where I am at right now. So Alexander Hamilton, the first Secretary of the Treasury, was a black guy. Let's continue.
This book, they're not even arguing that he's white. They clearly know. They're even saying he's a free black man, right? Mm-hmm. And this other book, they're debating it, supposedly. The second reason a darker skin tone hasn't always led to the assumption that one had African ancestry, there are whites who have been described as having swarthy complexion without any further speculation about their race. He's talking about all these things that we've been reading. Now he's saying there's white people being described as swarthy because according to this guy's hijack, all people that come in from Europe are white. So they're even describing white people as swarthy. No, because they're black, they're not white. Alan Miller, Adrian Miller.
Hey parents, let me ask you a question. What if I told you that one of the greatest gifts you can give to your kids doesn't...
They're not white, Adrian Miller. You're trying to add some hijack here, Adrian Miller. It says other reputable class publications and contemporaneous media accounts also describe Frances as a mulatto, the term of that time for biracial people. Oh, really? Frances' biographer Charles Blockson adds, while researching the story of his life, it was discovered that Frances' racial identity was recorded as Negro, not African. Colored, not African. Haitian Negro, again, not African. And mulatto, again, not African. That's what his contemporary records say. Fastidious old Negro, another one says, and swarthy. And he's even got the footnote so you can go look for the source, even though he's adding hijack. Alright? Washington A Life by Ron Chernoff. Ron Chernoff the draw. When it came to time for Washington's bid farewell to his officers, Francis Tavern seemed like the ideal spot. The innkeeper Samuel Francis was a West Indian called Black Sam. He was Black Sam. His nickname probably refers to swarthy complexion rather than African parentage, rather than African, rather than African. He was swarthy complexion not because of his African parentage. Okay. All right, listen. I know you're there still in the chat listening, learning. An excellent cook and a Freemason. Oh, an excellent cook and what? Freemasons. Francois was partial to wigs and fancy clothing and had rather aristocratic air. A secret friend to the American cause during the war, he helped to relieve the agony of American prisoners held in New York and also worked to thwart a plot to assassinate Washington. Congress will later repay him handsomely by housing government offices in Francois' tavern. Well aware of his heroism, Washington wrote to Francis warmly that summer and thanked him for constant friendship and attention to cause for our country. Oh, his Freemasonic buddy. The swarthy West Indian Freemason who owned a shop in New York. I'm going to submit to this guy, right? According to White Wikihan, this is Samuel Francois, right? Tosh the hijack, we already know this is a body snatcher. He's a Negro. It's not. This guy is not Francois. Stop lying. They just drew this the other day. You know why I know? Because look at right here, all the way to the left. Check it out. Thomas Hickey. We already got Thomas Hickey earlier. Remember? Swarthy. Look, they're using the same person. This is Wikipedia now. Wikihan and Wikipedia. They're using the same person for two swarthy Europeans. Thomas Hickey, Wikipedia. Samuel Francois, Wikihan. We caught him in the act. We caught them in the act. Okay? They can't try to hide this. They're going to hide this tomorrow. They're going to search it up tomorrow. For anybody who didn't see the video info, again, this is the scrapbook from 1908. And this is page 316. And it's talking about John Randolph. Who's John Randolph? Well, John Randolph is the celebrated
Not John Randolph,
Randolph
John
of
Wolfe.
Roanoke. He was the most famous descendant from the marriage of John Rolfe and Pocahontas. He's the son of Pocahontas. Now look at this guy right here. Right? This is what they're saying, John. Remember, Pocahontas, right? Remember earlier what they were saying? As dark and swarthy as an Indian. Right? So, okay, where's his, at least something. Where's his mixture, if anything, if any, right? Like, it says, it is well known that some of the oldest and most notable families in Virginia are descended from the marriage of John Rolfe with the Indian princess, Pocahontas. Descent from Pocahontas indeed is regarded as an honor. The most famous of her line was the celebrated John Randolph of Roanoke, who had indeed characteristics that were more Indian than Caucasian. He was more Indian than Caucasian. Look at him right here. Really? So who's this guy you're showing here if he's more Indian than Caucasian? Well, what does it say here? It says, he was swarthy of complexion and fierce and untamable in all his ways, fond of dueling, noted for his bitter tongue, and feared amongst as much by his friends as his enemies. He lived almost as a hermit at home, yet took an active part in politics. When he was in the United States Senator, he used to stride into Senate into the custom of a hunter. You hear what is going on? This guy was, not this guy, not this fake guy, but John Randolph, the real John Randolph, the swarthy complexion son of Pocahontas. He was a senator. Did you know that? And he was a swarthy guy. He was a black man, right? Because John Rolfe was probably a black man too. He might be swarthy European too. Again, he was swarthy. When he went into the Senate, what did he do? He put on a costume. He says, no, he didn't put on a costume. He put on his traditional clothes from his mom of a hunter. He went in there like an Indian hunter and with two huge dogs of his heels. He had his two shallots with him. He was like, damn, boys, don't kill yet. Only one that tells you was chill. Chill. Chill, killer. Killer. All right. He was, by the way, the inventor of the expressive term doughface. Oh, doughboy, doughface, that was him. He made that up. All right? That's him, all right? The swarthy John. The swarthy, the real one. The swarthy John Randolph, not this guy right here.
Yeah, we all know Doughboy was swarthy.
We know Doughboy was swarthy. Don't try to play us with your part alfalfa hairdo. No. So we got this book here, The Guns of Independence, The Siege of Georgetown, 1781 by Jerome Green. And they're talking about this guy, this Colonel Tarleton. Colonel Tarleton. His full name is Banastre Tarleton. Alright? Says was the most hated enemy soldier operating in the colonies. This 27-year-old native of Liverpool. A native of what? Liverpool. He was from England, Liverpool, hailed from the upper middle class and studied law at the universities of Liverpool and Oxford. He was in the Dragoon Guards. Alright? We're going to get to this part right here where it's describing him. It says, although he denied the report, there is little doubt atrocities occurred. Dashing in manner, boasting a swarthy complexion. Tarleton was also possessed of a terrible temper and impetuousness that resulted in his sharp defeat of the Battle of Cones in January 1781. So he was swarthy complexion. And then we got this book, George Washington, says Ultimate Collection, Military Journals, Rules of Civility by George Washington Irving, blah, 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 by himself, George Washington himself, right? Talking about Lieutenant Colonel Banastre Tarleton, this bold dragoon, with parentheses, there you go. So noted in Southern warfare, was about 26 years of age, of a swarthy complexion. Alright? From primary sources, swarthy complexion with small, black, piercing eyes. Remember, he was from Liverpool. He was from England with a swarthy complexion. Alright, so you guys ready to see what is it, Tarleton? Alright, man, don't be disappointed. Don't be disappointed. Alright, Wikipedia did it to us again. Banastre Tarleton, we got another body snatcher here, guys. The body snatchers. I should have known better. You can't fool me twice again. because I know Tarleton from primary sources. George Washington himself is saying he's swarthy complexion. He's a swarthy complexion guy. He doesn't look like this guy. There you go, swarthy. That's not swarthy to me. All right, break the spell. So swarthy, Tarleton, we got another body snatcher. All right, note that. Did you guys keep notes? All right. And what's this right here? We got The Life of George Washington, volumes 3 and 4. This is an older book, 1800s. And we got, again, Colonel Barnas Tarleton, who commanded them, was one of the dogs of war which Sir Henry was prepared to let slip on emergencies to score in Moray, the county. This bold dragoon, so noted in southern warfare, was about 26 years of age, of a swarthy complexion. Swarthy complexion. Alright? Swarthy.
This is your brain when you're struggling to focus. And this is your brain when you're in the zone.
Good. Sex and Race. And Volume 2, Negro Caucasian Mix in All Ages, Sex and Race, Volume 2 by J.A. Rogers, pretty good book. They're talking about here a Daniel Webster, alright, a Daniel Webster. It says he was so dark that it seems among Negroes he would be easily be taken for one. He was known as Black Dan.
Daniel Webster.
Black Dan, and amongst Negroes he would have been taken for one. Black Dan. Few says so swarthy was his complexion that the Deweys took him for an Indian. Again, he was so swarthy they took him for an Indian.
So swarthy.
Right. So General John Stark, referring to Daniel's Moorish complexion, right? Moorish complexion meaning Negro complexion, said it was like that of Ebenezer.
I hate that. I'm gonna go back a little bit. I don't know if you guys heard that or not.
Good. Sex and Race, and Volume 2, Negro Caucasian Mix in All Ages, Sex and Race, Volume 2 by J.A. Rogers, pretty good book. They're talking about here a Daniel Webster, alright, a Daniel Webster. It says he was so dark that it seems among Negroes he would be easily be taken for one. He was known as Black Dan. He was known as Black Dan, and amongst Negroes he would have been taken for one. Black Dan. Few says so swarthy was his complexion that the Deweys took him for an Indian. Again, he was so swarthy they took him for an Indian.
So swarthy.
Right. So General John Stark, referring to Daniel's Moorish complexion, right? Moorish complexion meaning Negro complexion, said it was like that of Ebenezer Webster's, who's also obviously Moorish complexion, which burnt gunpowder could not change. Webster's himself said that one of his ancestors, Stephen Batchelor, had a very swarthy skin and black horsehair. Alright? As regards the statement that if Daniel Webster had been seen in a colored audience, he would have been taken for color. We have the following from General Butler, who wrote to the Secretary of War Stanton from Louisiana regarding a regiment of Negroes. He was enlisted for service in the Union Army. I shall have within a few days a regiment of native guards colored, the darkest of whom will be about the complexion of the late Mr. Webster. As black as Mr. Webster. Alright, so we got another body snatcher, right? Daniel Webster, right? He was so swarthy, like coal. Oh, let's go back. Like Ebenezer Webster, which burnt gunpowder, like gunpowder could not change. Webster himself said that one of his ancestors, Stephen Batchelor, had a very swarthy skin, black horsehair. So let me see who Daniel Webster is. We still got a body snatcher here. He was an American lawyer and statesman who represented New Hampshire and Massachusetts in the Congress, served as the U.S. Secretary of State under President William Henry Harrison. Alright? That's who Daniel Webster is. Daniel Webster, again, was so dark that it seems among Negroes he would have easily been taken for one. We see here Saratoga, Turning Point of America's Revolutionary War by Richard M. Ketchum. Says in second in the 48-year-old William Howe to Boston. In 1775, George III may have hoped that some magic still attached to the Howe name. The general's brother, George Augustus III, Viscount Howe, had been extremely popular in the colonies, and his death in the 1758 attack on Fort Ticonderoga was generally mourned by the New Englanders who served with him and placed a monument to him in Westminster Abbey. William Howe was a kingsman after a fashion to George III, since one of his grandmothers had been the mistress of the king's great-grandfather. He was burly and coarse looking, a 6-footer with terrible teeth and the same swarthy complexion that led sailors to call his brother Richard Black Dick. Oh man, oh man. So swarthy complexion, right? So both these brothers are swarthy complexion. All right, you guys ready again? George Howie III, Viscount Howie. Here we go. See that? He took his swarthiness right off. I mean, come on, man. Like, look at, he's like Casper. Like, he looks like he's dying. Like, is this a vampire? What's going on here? This is like the total opposite of swarthy. Again, he's swarthy complexion, just like his brother, Black Dick. Richard, swarthy complexion. All right? Damn. Body snatchers. So that was George III again. And again, a lot of these people can be described in numerous writings as swarthy. I just picked some of them. Like, and we got Jonathan Alder. Who's Jonathan Alder? So Jonathan Alder was an American pioneer and the first white settler. All right, listen to this. If you're from Ohio, so Jonathan Alder was supposed to be the very first white settler in Madison County, Ohio. As a young child living in Virginia, Alder was kidnapped by Shawnee Indians and later adopted by a Mingo chief in the Ohio country. He lived with the Native Americans for many years before returning to the white community. It says History of Jonathan Alder, His Captivity and Life with the Indians by Henry Clay Alder. All right, and Alder, a descendant, most likely of his. Transcribed and with a foreword by Doyle H. Davison, compiled and noted, edited with introduction by Larry L. Nielsen, the University of Akron Press. Jonathan Alder, that emerges from his narrative, was honest, caring, and genuinely concerned that both his Indian and white neighbors resolved their differences fairly and honorably. Beers describes Alder as a little over 6 feet in height. He was very tall, and straight as an arrow, and adds that his hair and eyebrows were black as coal, his complexion dark and swarthy. Alright, he was dark and swarthy, again, twice, dark and swarthy, his face large and well formed. They noted strength of character and firmness of purpose. His eyes were bright and piercing, while his whole appearance, gait, and actions were characterized of the Indians. Alright, swarthy, complexion dark, John Alder, who was kidnapped supposedly by the Shawnee and lived with the Indians. Alright, and the first so-called first white settler. How's he white if he's dark and swarthy? See the hijack. How's he the first white settler? You mean the first European that arrived to Madison County, Ohio? The first European who arrived there was a black man, a black European. He was black. And again, this is from the History of Madison County, Ohio. This is from 1883 by Robert C. Brown. And it's talking about John Alder's names appears among the first jurors of the Madison County, so that he early began to be a useful citizen. He became comfortably well off in the world's goods, although not rich by any means. In personal appearance, he says, when speaking of the meeting between himself and his brother and mother, I was a little over 6 feet in height, and as straight as an arrow ever was. His hair and eyebrows were as black as coal, his complexion dark and swarthy. The History of Madison County, see, right? His own words. Alright, he's dark and swarthy. He was a European, they're calling him white.
Now let me throw a little bit of light on the white part. Back in the day, almost during the not only the period after the American Revolution, but before then, being white meant economic power. You had land, you had votes, you had all of that. Anybody that had that were considered white. It was not due to complexion. The white part came later after 1880, and that's when it really got bad for black people, as we know ourselves to be today. But before then, being white meant that you had property, you had money, that connection. So the pale skins and, unfortunately, the pale skins and the black people who were dominating the social strata, economic strata, were considered white. The last 9 minutes now, we will be done. No, we're gonna go into what the white boy done said on X.
Remember, they call him white. He's a European, but he's a black man, so-called black man. And this is the Cleveland State University Early History of Cleveland, Ohio by Charles Witt Tosi from 2015. And again, his complexion was so swarthy. They're talking about John Elder. He was so swarthy. So swarthy. He was so swarthy. Man, he's so swarthy. It's like saying, like, what did they say? Like, so dark. Man, his complexion was so dark, so black. What do they he's expressing how swarthy he was, right? His complexion was so swarthy. This first so-called white man, right? He was so swarthy though. His figure so square and stout, his dress so rude that the Indians supposed some of the blood of their race had crept into his veins because he was what? So swarthy. He must be one of us too. He looks like us because he's so swarthy. Says the attack on Logan Station, 1777. And we got this James Harrod was a man of valor. At 16 years of age, he was a young soldier in the French and Indian War. He loved the scout trail and grew up to be one of the best sign readers among all the long hunters of Kentucky. He was a tall, silent, swarthy. He was swarthy, as dark as the Indians who tracked. What? James Harrod was as dark as the Indians whom he tracked. He was swarthy like the Indians, so the Indians are swarthy. Thank you for letting us know. Alright, so James Harrod was swarthy as dark as an Indian, right? We're about to go to James Harrod right now. You guys ready? Alright. So we got James Harrod right here, right? Alright, James Harrod, frontiersman, founder of the Harrisburg, Kentucky. His first permanent settlement was of the Alleghenies. Now, I'm going to ask you, because you're an Indian, right? You're watching me, right? Are you, is this guy as swarthy as you? No. As dark as you? Okay, so who's this body's name? Who's this imposter right here, man? Who's these actors? And I imagine all these frontier men you're going to start seeing, they were really all dark-skinned, most of them. They knew how to survive in the frontier. That's why a lot of times I'll be like, so how did these Europeans learn how to just all of a sudden become trackers and become ill in the forest with the Indians and stuff? Well, maybe they have that in their blood. Alright, James Harrod, you ain't as dark as no Indian. What you talking about, man? Yo, what you do with the real James Harrod? Alright, what is this book in archive.org? Hold on, let me get the cover. I like reading the cover. But I'm going to show you what they got in their cover as the Indians. I know some of you saw it already. The Great West. Look at the Indians. Swarthy. Swarthy. So that, okay, let's go, hold up. James Harrod. Okay, let's compare. James Harrod is supposedly swarthy, as dark as the Indians he tracked. Do you see that? Again, that was the cover of the book of the Great West. Alright, so we got, what do we got here? Because we already know James Harrod. Yeah, that's not him. He's gone. He's gone. Yeah, he's swarthy. We already know that. So we got Louis Wetzel. Louis Wetzel was perhaps the most indefatigable Indian hunter on the frontiers. Alright, he was an Indian hunter, hunting your ancestors. Alright, during the wars it is said that disguised as an Indian, he disguised himself as an Indian. Now, can a white person disguise himself as you? Just think about it. It says he killed in the region of the Upper Ohio alone 27 of the enemy. He killed 27 Indians, and they boast about it. Beside a number more of the Kentucky frontier, his person was in keeping with his character. He was about 5 feet 9 inches in height, very broad-shouldered and full-breasted. His complexion was dark and swarthy. Not only just swarthy, it was dark and swarthy. As an Indian, now you know they know what an Indian looks like, right?
Do you need a website? Try Strikingly, the free website builder, where no code or design skills are needed.
Why? Why do we know that they know what an Indian looks like in this book from 1859? All right, I didn't tell you that. I've been reading a lot of old books. 1859, right? They know, right? We got the lady laughing in the background. She's like, "You guys didn't know this?" The song's called "The Joker's Lair." The joke's on us. See, they know what an Indian looks like because they got him in the cover, right? So when they're saying that this guy who's an Indian hunter looks like them, right? His complexion was dark and swarthy as an Indian's, and his face pitted with smallpox. All right. So is he not a Moor? Can I be real with the real Moors out there? Is he not a Moor? If his complexion was dark and swarthy? Because what I'm trying to say is real history. You can't overlook this. This was a dark-skinned, very dark-skinned man hunting when you're trying to blame the white man for always. This is heritagehistory.com, scrape of the Wetzel brothers. Oh, the Wetzel brothers. The Wetzel brothers, yeah. Lewis was now 23, a borderman through and through, and skilled almost beyond all others. He was not of the long type. Instead, he was 5 feet 8 inches, darker in complexion than his swarthy brothers. Lewis and the Wetzel brothers, there's a whole crew of Wetzel Indian hunters, of black men, black Wetzel men, black European. So his brothers were even darker than him. There's a bunch of them wandering around killing Indians. All the brothers had long hair, black and old and curled hair. They all had curled hair. His was the longest. When not Lewis, it formed a bunch under his fur cap. Okay, so it says memorial addresses of the life and character of John Alexander Logan. This is from an older book, 1800s, United States Congress. And it is said that poets are born, not made. Though it is maybe truly said that General Logan was a natural soldier. Every instinct within him has inspired with fervent love of his country. His figure was massive, his shoulders broad, his presence commanding. With his swarthy face and coal black hair, and eyes like Mars to threaten or command, red eyes, he was very inch a warrior. Soldiers of the late war believed in him as leader in the field, and those of that great Union Army who survived him mourn his loss today as their nearest, most earnest, ablest, and most devoted friend. So again, this is John A. Logan, Alexander Logan, is swarthy. Alright? Now, when I Googled him, right, when you go to Joan A. Logan, right, this is what they show. Joan A. Logan, swarthy. How did they get swarthy from this? Because if he's swarthy, this dude don't look nice swarthy to me. Look at him here, like. There's nothing swarthy about him. Not even close. Alright? And we're in the Encyclopedia Britannica, right? Encyclopedia Britannica online, Britannica.com. Alright? What is it telling us? Logan, nicknamed Blackjack. He was called Blackjack. Blackjack. Hold up, where he at? Yo, Blackjack. Where you at, Blackjack? Yo, Blackjack. This guy right here was called Blackjack. This is Blackjack, according to Encyclopedia Britannica, for his swarthy complexion. He's called Blackjack because of his swarthy complexion. Am I the only one that's confused here? Alright, Blackjack, for his swarthy complexion and jet black hair. Encyclopedia Britannica.
Alright, we're wrapping it up, ladies and gentlemen. That's a wrap. So I'm going to go here to X and find that. So, hold on. Now you can see new couple federally indicted on 3 counts of using a minor to produce sexually explicit material, plus state charges for sodomy and child sexual abuse material. These motherfuckers are crazy, man. Look at this story. God damn, these motherfuckers. Now, I don't know if that's true, but Pastor Bob George has been confirmed to be Elvis. Who knows? But let me find out. Charlie Kirk, who gives a fuck? Yeah. Let me see. Let me look for you guys, and I'll be closing it out, and we'll be right back. Now, you probably heard about Campbell using not meat in their soup, cans of soup. They're using 3D printed meat. Be careful. And all of these companies are like that. Be careful. Pepsi isn't Pepsi. You're using some other shit in there. Coca-Cola using some other shit. See, this is why I like being here in the Dominican Republic. They got a soda called Cola Real, or real cola. And they use real sugar, whatever the case it is, real shit. Now this one, let me play this one, you guys. So you need to hear.
I read these legal documents to you. It could get me sued. It could get me killed. I don't care. I'm still going to share this with you. My name is Hunter Howell. I would never harm myself. There's a lot to go through, so I'm just going to read the highlighted parts of the notes I took. This took place in the District Court, Southern District of New York. Defendants, Epstein and our current president, Donald J. Trump. Okay, page 2 that I highlighted here in the court documents. Quote, word for word, the parties were held by defendant Epstein at New York City residence that was being used by defendant Epstein. Plaintiff was a minor of age 13, end quote. Let's go on to page 3 of these court documents. Quote, plaintiff was enticed by promises of money and a modeling career to attend a series of parties, end quote. This next part is the part that's going to potentially cost me my life and definitely my bank account. Quote, all in quotes, word for word, defendant Trump initiated sexual contact with plaintiff at 4 different parties. Defendant Trump tied plaintiff to a bed, exposed himself to plaintiff, and then proceeded to forcibly rape plaintiff. During the course of this savage sexual attack, plaintiff loudly pleaded with defendant Trump to stop, but with no effect. Defendant Trump responded to plaintiff's pleas by violently striking plaintiff in the face with an open hand, screaming he would do whatever he wanted. Immediately following this rape, defendant Trump threatened plaintiff that if she were to ever reveal any of the details of the sexual abuse, plaintiff and her family would be physically harmed if not killed. Just so you know who's running our country. My name is Hunter Howell, and I'm sending you my love. Please protect me by 3 buttons over here. I get back to every comment. I need you to repost and share, and follow me for more news.
Alright, so hold on. Let me. These people, we don't have a racial problem in the world. We have a problem race. Alright, let me make that perfectly clear. And these people are what they are. This is the one where I was saying breaking 30 former Obama administration officials have reportedly been interviewed by the FBI and are cooperating with the U.S. Attorney's Office to build this seditious conspiracy against former President Barack Obama. He had no fucking business killing a head of state, Gaddafi. So hopefully, hell, hope I can find. I know I got it, you guys. Hold on. This one man says white supremacy can't admit they touch children. 99% were men, 71% white, 18%. I don't know what that is. Black. Get the fuck out the way. 75% contract with other federal offenders who were 19.9%. But you get the point. So I'm not gonna play it. But these people are absolutely positively fucking crazy. Oh, here it is. 6% were black, 4.8%. 18% were Hispanic, 6% were black. Okay. Hold on. If you have an X account, check this guy out, subscribe. I guess to follow him. That's what I want to say. Expose racists and pedophiles. As you know, this is my book, The White Man's Burden of Lies and Deceit, 1 and 2. I have available on Amazon. Yeah, the president, he might not make it by the end of the year or the first quarter of 26. Oh, dick sucking Trump. Well, I tell you, I don't know. It is what it is. But if I can't find it, you guys, what it is saying is that we should be ashamed. White folks can play their motherfucking game every which way but losing, any which way we can, any which way they can, and we're still gonna believe it. He's saying that we don't have any fucking ball. We're gonna keep believing what white folks say and please forgive us, and we forgive them. It's utterly fucking ridiculous. Hold on. And this guy, Chud. Well, I hope I can find it. I guess I should have had this done from the beginning. But if not, you know what the deal is. Oh, Charlie Kirk. Fuck Charlie Kirk. Oh, here it is. So you got Payne or Payne Sanders. Can I ask why you black people are so goddamn passive? We kill your children, mock you, take your riches, take your land, convince you God is white, cause so many problems of self-hate in your community. Keep you poor, take your history, Egypt, take your opportunity, and make your children believe the only heroes in the world are white men. And then you continue to give us the benefit of a doubt. We lock you up and you still have us walk around like everything is okay. When will you stop calling on to Jesus and do for your goddamn selves? Is this how you reacted when we came to conquer you? This is bloody pathetic. I see no Moors here. All I see are coon-ass niggas. Or confused monkey. Man, if this don't... Look, I'm gonna wrap it up. If this don't get you, I don't know what will. The man is right. Y'all are some cooning ass fucking niggas, confusing your goddamn head, don't know what the fuck you want, don't know what the fuck is going on. You don't even know what. You don't know shit about cryptocurrency, the changing market, the changing world, the upcoming depression that's going to happen in 2029. You don't know how to escape that, how to avoid that. Don't know a motherfucker thing other than white Jesus. And call on Jesus to help your mother. Call on your own fucking selves. Stick together, stay together, be on code. Fuck what white folks say. I don't give no fuck. I was done with white folks a long time ago. I'm done now. Because there's no saving grace with these animals. They stopped eating us in the 70s, so they say, but they're still eating us. They're still eating people, human beings, and they devilish sacrifices and trying to be famous and rich. Eating their adrenochrome, or however you say it, killing and hunting children. So when do we say enough is enough, my people? That enough is enough is now, because now the global south is rising up against white folks. Do you really think Japan forgot about Hiroshima and Nagasaki? Do you really think that the Chinese forgot about what white folks did? The Opium Wars 1 and 2, and the tens of millions of Chinese that they killed with drugs, destroyed communities and families and marriages? Do you really think that? Do you really think that the global south and all the hate that white folks have done and wiping out the whole people, what they call that? The cartoon that the animals spin around. You know what I'm talking about. Those people. The last man, they killed and cut off a testicle sack and used it as a tobacco pouch. Do you know they got 25,000 decapitated black men and women and children heads in France in the museum? These people are fucking crazy. And now, if you don't see it, fuck you. If you do see it, thank God. Now you should be able to understand why our ancestors enslaved these people. They're not good enough to be anything else. And why we killed them. Our ancestors killed them. Because we killed them, got them out of Egypt, got them out of Greece and Rome, and now we're in the process of killing them again. I showed the Caucasus Mountain video the last time I was on here. I don't want to show that again. But the reality is, you guys, we are at war with these people. Not only in our food, in our air, in our water, in our everything. And you motherfuckers are asleep, twerking. Hee hee ha ha woo woo. Wake up, my people. It's time. It's here. We are all we got. We can't give up now. We've come too far. And the script has flipped. The black man is back and the black woman is back. We are back. We're taking our world back. We are the black universe filtered down in human form. White folks want to be us so bad they can taste it. You better believe that, know that, accept that. And like I always say, for the next 24 hours, for the next 24/7, 365, stay black, and I will be back next Tuesday at 8 o'clock, and we're going to get back on the Supreme African Breaking News, which is now Supreme African News, because they're coming out with more and more, notification news. It's a blockbuster, so I'm going to be covering that again, and every now and then I'll be doing these little quick sessions about our history and how it's important to be up on top of that. So, peace, stay blessed, and stay black. Love you guys.